Hello, Internet! Welcome to Two and a Half Brains. This is the recap of the first episode of Survivor Season 41. We're going to break it all down, talk all about it. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. You can like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Pavement Road Productions. You can like our YouTube channel, subscribe right there so you don't miss anything. And you can email the show directly, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com, to share your thoughts and get on the show. I'm going to go ahead and bring in Jessica here in just a moment. Like I said, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. I'm your host, Yo Grabba Gabba. And welcome, Jessica, to the show. Jessica, how are you?
I'm here. Hello.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm tired. How are you?
I'm okay. It's been a really busy few weeks. Obviously, we're recording our second show in about 5 days or 4 days, so it's been a really chaotic week or so, but we're ready to get back on some of a normal schedule. So definitely be sure to subscribe. See if there's anything we can get them out as soon as possible here. Before I do get started with the show, I did want to mention that I didn't mention it off the show last week, but obviously I mentioned a few survivors, and the people said that they're who they're like, they're players that they're reminded of, and I brought up Sunday Burquest, and she was on my mind. Obviously, the one contestant kind of looks like her, but I didn't realize that she passed away in April. I was really sad to hear that. Obviously, anybody obviously we since Survivor was on the air, we also lost Angie from Palau and Cliff Robinson, the NBA star, and from Survivor Cagayan. So it was sad. Time. Obviously, a lot of people passed away. Obviously, they're not special. They're just Survivor players. But Survivor community lost a couple people this last year. So definitely wanted to mention that. And obviously, we're thinking of them and their families for sure. So no easy way to transition from that, but let's go ahead and talk about this season. Jessica, any initial thoughts before we dive in here?
It was an interesting first episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fine. Nothing, I don't know. Louder. Nothing. I don't know. The challenge that was first done, we've seen a variation of that before, so I don't mind that challenge. It was, I guess, nice to see you back and interesting meeting everybody and seeing how things are going to work out for this season.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I liked the fact that it was a 2-hour episode, and they did a double boot, which was fine, but they let us kind of get to time to meet both teams. They did kind of a back-to-back tribal council as opposed to trying to squeeze 2 episodes in, if you will. So I like that. I like that idea. I think they should do that more often. Go 2 hours, you get rid of 2 contestants, but at the same time you're also servicing all the characters and whatnot as well on the show. So I definitely like that. So other than that, I think we can go ahead and get started talking about this. So obviously, if this is the first time listening, we're going to kind of talk about the 3 most important moments of the episode, kind of, overall, moments. We're going to talk about who got voted out, what they did wrong, what they should have done differently. And then we're going to talk about the top 3 and bottom 3 players of the week. And obviously, the people who voted out can't be the bottom 3. It's people who are still left in the game and kind of their trajectory and where they're going so far and how they're doing, if that makes sense. So we're going to go ahead and do that here. Like I said, subscribe so you don't miss anything, and we'll go ahead and dive in here with those moments here. Right?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and get started. What is moment that mattered number 1?
Opening challenge.
Yeah, so how about the opening challenge, Jessica? What did you think of it?
It was interesting. It was different to start off the episode with everybody doing a challenge right away. Very interesting that they took away everybody's supplies and you had to earn it right off the bat, which I'm not sure if that, gives more to the episode or gives more to the season this year or whatnot. But, finding the paddles on the boat and having everybody work together right away was probably interesting kind of bonding thing or something that was pushing people apart from the tribes.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one thing that I did notice too. Obviously, the some of the tribes worked really well together. Some did not. The yellow tribe couldn't find their last oar. Blue team found everything and got in the water right away and was doing well, but forgot to untie the back anchor, so it was dragging their anchor and couldn't get anywhere. And And then the green team worked really well. They were second. I think the second one, obviously, the second one in the water. It's the only team who never got in the water.
Pretty crazy how you didn't notice after the first couple times that you're trying to paddle away that you're not really going anywhere. You think you'd check for something else.
I mean, yeah. I mean, again, the person, you think maybe they figure it's just it's heavy, there's a lot on the boat, but I mean, yeah, they were moving a little bit because they're just dragging the anchor, but yeah, I mean, and then they might have when the other team was like just cruising ahead of them.
Yeah.
And Jeff even said he goes you guys are something like you're dead weight or something. I don't know, but he was trying to give them the hint that you idiots are not untied. But they never figured it out until the challenge was over.
Yeah.
So it was interesting though, and they said they were playing for, which again I don't really think it's I kind of think it's kind of stupid honestly that you're playing for like your rice and a machete and flint and a pot, whatever. I mean, it's like
they played to get rice. They didn't even get rice. They just got the pot, the flint, and the machete. That's it.
Right.
Still didn't even gotten food. So you're already shortening the season, taking food away from them, and then making them do strenuous stuff right away. It just seems kind of silly that you're trying to wear them down right away.
Yeah, it's weird. I said I like the opening challenge. I like when they make them do something right off the bat. Like I said, I really liked. I'm over the marooning. I think a lot of people are. Like the marooning, it was fine. It's something to do once in a while, but like, there's always an advantage on the boat, and the people are doing that, and then it's just it gets to be kind of repetitive. You kind of it's like the Survivor auction. You kind of break it after a while because you just do it so many times that it's like, all right, the contestants know how to do it, so it's just like you got to kind of switch it up. But I think. I like the opening challenge. They did it on David versus Goliath. They did an opening challenge. I really like that, and that season ended up being really good. And like I said, I like that they made him do something right away, and earn something, right away, which was cool. And the winning team got their supplies, which was nice. And then the other tribes had to earn it later. Anything else to add to that?
No, I don't think so.
Cool. What's the second moment that mattered?
Prisoner's Dilemma.
So what was that about?
So it was Xander, no.
So I know the one tribe was Xander and Voce, David Voce. Which I don't know how he got the last name treatment already, but he did.
Prisoner's Dilemma.
Oh no! Okay, that was
No.
a challenge to earn their supplies.
Correct.
You're right. Okay, so
No.
So the ones who didn't earn it on the boat challenge had to like bring water and fill up barrels from the ocean on a long trek for like 4 hours, or they could have done a puzzle.
Yeah, right. The freaking Facebook puzzle would tell me how many triangles you see in the picture.
Yeah, it was.
Ridiculous.
So it was dumb, and everybody did the physical one, the straight head physical one, and you'd have two contestants do that, and some players didn't want to do that because they don't want to be away from the tribe,
They did it anyways.
but they ended up just doing it anyways, so whatever. But that was Xander and Voce, and then it was Deshaun and Danny on the other tribe. But the Prisoner's Dilemma, which I get ahead of myself here, the Prisoner's Dilemma was JD,
yeah,
Xander, and Danny.
Yes.
Okay, what was that about?
They each were selected or however from their tribe, went on a boat, got to an island, had to climb all the way to the top of the island, basically read a note that they all have their own decisions to make. They had to separate and go their separate ways. Went down to, what are those things
Those are
called?
ship's wheel.
Ship's wheel, thank you. And basically they had the decision of if you could protect your vote or you could risk your vote. If everyone protected their vote, nothing would happen. They all get their vote. If one person protected their vote and the other ones risked their vote, nothing would happen. The two people that risked their vote or whoever that risked their vote would get an additional vote. The one that protected it would be fine. But if everybody risked their vote, they all lost their votes.
Right. And that, so I didn't really like the playing it safe options. I thought there should have been consequences for playing it safe. If everybody else risks their vote and you don't, you should lose your vote. I think that's how I should have done it. But it was neat. They had to go up there. I don't know if they're gonna be doing some of this every challenge. Obviously, it's 2 hours, so not gonna be able to have the time to do everything. But it was interesting. They had 2 challenges because the reward challenge and everything else, or immunity challenge and everything else. But they had basically these 3 people from different tribes. They got selected. One volunteered. One drew rocks, and one. I don't remember how the other one got in. I guess they voted for him, whatever. But they had to, and they met each other. They walked up this hill, got to talk and whatever. Then they got to the top of the hill, and then they walk down the other side of the hill and separate, like you said, and then each make a private decision about what they want to do. And Danny, what did Danny decide? You remember?
Danny decided to protect his vote.
Correct. And the other two decided to risk it. And again, they didn't know that they didn't know that even until they got into the voting confessional.
Right. And then the two that risked their vote both went to tribal that night, so that was kind of ironic.
Yeah, and they both got an extra vote to save for a rainy day.
Right.
So that was interesting. I like the little things that they do. It was kind of like the Survivor Summit they did back in MVGX, Millennial vs. Gen X. It was neat. It's something different, and you don't really know what they're going to do, and you kind of have to guess what they're going to decide. But I thought it was cool. Obviously, they won't have time to do something like that every time because it's again not going to be 2 hours every week. Thankfully, for Jessica's sake, and my sake too. But so it was something different, something that was cool. The only thing I worry, they're adding a lot to the season. They're adding a lot of wrinkles, and I'm kind of worried that there's going to be too many advantages at some point, and that's definitely something we don't want. But anyways, what's the third thing, Jessica, unless you have anything else to add?
No, I'm good. The third was 1 through 6 chance.
Yeah, so what was that all about?
I kind of missed some of it.
Yeah, me too.
I just know that they get a dice. I think if they feel that they aren't safe, they can put it in and pick a 1 through 6 chance to see if they're safe or if they're not safe, or if they get immunity or not.
Yeah, so the way I got it, again, I had to probably look it up and get more. And if it actually gets put into play, I'd like to see it. But basically, what they can do is if they think they're going home, they can risk their vote for a 1 in 6 shot at immunity. So basically, you give up your right to vote, and if you instead of voting, you have a chance to get immunity. If you don't get it, then you don't vote and you don't have immunity, so you're screwed. But if you think you're going home, if it's like it's one of those things where like if you think all the votes are coming your way, you might as well, right? Because one vote's not going to change anything anyways, so you might as well do it. But if you think it's going to be close, like a 2-3 or whatever, then you're better off not doing it because obviously you don't want to take that chance and risk the vote and losing your vote. But it's definitely those things. If everybody knows it's you, if you know it's you might as well do it.
Right.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
And then I don't know. So again, it seems we'll see how it actually gets put into play. There's a lot of weird advantages and stuff like that. So we'll see how it comes out. But and I do always like the 3-tribe format. It's hard to service. So I like when they do it like this when there's not like a huge theme because it's hard to service the theme and 3 tribes. But 3 tribes makes it a lot harder to have like it's like except for 39 and 40. Every season from 30 on has had at least 3 tribes at some point. And the reason they started doing that, they started doing it at 25. They started doing it they did it at 28 as well. It's because they 23, 24, and 22, the one tribe would just get control of the game and run the game. And then they get to the merge with numbers and they vote everybody else in the tribe and that's it. And it was very, predictable. So they want to do 3 tribes so that one group can't have a major majority, and so even if you do well, you still have 6. You merge it at 12. It's 6. It's 6-6 if the other 2 stick together. So they want to make it so you can't just get numbers at the merge and then run it all the way through.
Right.
So that I do like that. It makes it a little different, and it makes it harder to have a power majority running the whole thing. And then obviously you swap at some point too, or you swap to 2 tribes. Now you're mixing stuff up even more, and it gets even more complicated. So I think 1 swap is good. 2-3 swaps is too much, and I like starting with the 3 tribes. It definitely makes it easier. But then again, you get down to 6. You're voting at 6 people. There's really no place to hide it, So and the way they did this time too, only 1 tribe won immunity, so 2 tribes had to vote. So in a 6 tribe. In a 3-tribe format, 6 people, you win you win first or second place. You don't have to vote somebody out. You're good. In this case, only the one who won the number 1 immunity got the immunity. Otherwise, you had to vote somebody out. So it's nice if you're a player that you win the immunity, and or first or second, then you're good. But if you lose the immunity, there's no place to hide. So it's like if you want to hide, you want a big 10-person tribe. if you want to, avoid immunity, a 2 out of 3 chance to win immunity is what you want. So there's pros and cons both ways, but I definitely as a viewer like the 3-tribe format, and I like when they I think it's better to do that. If you're not having a major theme to service like they don't in this case.
Yeah.
For sure. Anything else to add?
No.
So what is next then?
Who did not survive?
So 2 people got voted out this week. It was Abraham and Sarah. We'll start with Abraham since he was the first one out technically. What did Abraham do wrong? What happened?
Came out way too strong, showing that he was running the game. I guess in a way challenging other people that, he was in charge, what he was saying was the right decision, and people were agreeing with him, and then all of a sudden, no, they were not.
And he wanted to go for Tiffany, and it's honestly, it's one of those things where Survivor, the great thing and the bad thing about Survivor is, if you're an older lady, you have a real tough shot because you're the easy first boot. If you survive that first boot, survive the first couple of votes, you're probably gonna go far in the game, and maybe you'll be a 0-vote finalist. But it's hardest role to be as the older woman in the game, and it makes sense to slow play early. So the easy consensus vote is the older lady. Cool, do that, makes sense.
Right.
But it only takes 4 to have a majority in a 6-person tribe, right? And Abraham, like you said, was coming out strong. He's like, hey, this is what we gotta do. And that makes sense in a normal season of Survivor to do that. But the women also realized, hey, I think Evie said it, or Evie. She said, if we let, Abraham vote out, Tiffany, now it's 3-2 and the guys can just run the game. And we'll get down to, there'll be 3 people left in the tribe, there'll be 3 guys.
Right.
And so as a woman, you have to understand that and not let that happen. You can't let the old lady be the one voted out first, because even though it's easy vote, you can't let that happen.
Right.
So Abraham in a traditional, last 10 seasons made the right decision to vote out the older lady, but the women are smart and they're like, we can't let the old woman be out first. So they went ahead and got rid of Abraham. Abraham, I think, was playing smart, but he wasn't thinking that the women were as smart as they were. And I think that is his downfall. I think he knew what he was doing. He's a physical asset. He's a friggin' tank. Not your traditional first boot by any means. But again, if you're trying to play, hey, we have to get rid of one of the older ladies, get rid of the older lady, normally you can just do that and people don't really give it a second thought, but he didn't finesse it at all. He just kind of put his head down and pushed forward and figured they would just fall in line because that's what they usually do, but he didn't have any tact. And when you throw out a name early, that's a mistake to throw out a name that early, and I think that's what he did wrong. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then Sarah also got voted out. What did Sarah do wrong?
She was very emotional. I think that was part of it, and putting it on her that she didn't do the puzzle well and she was missing the piece, and I guess that put a target on her back with her tribe. But she was pretty sociable with everybody, so I think it was just mostly that part, and then the paranoia during tribal and everything else. And I don't know, it was a tough decision for whoever decided that was the final one.
Yeah, I mean, they just won the first challenge, and then they fell apart because, again, they had all these puzzle pieces, and the blue team forgot one of their puzzles. They even put it on the bag on the cart to go. So that was a mistake.
What was the puzzle? It was the sandbag.
The sandbag.
They had to push it all the way back and then put the sandbag on and then go back.
Right, that's right. And then they had all the puzzle pieces in the bag, and they just forgot to take one of them out. And they were trying to finish the puzzle, and they were missing a piece. And then once they had that piece, they were basically able to finish it, but they lost a lot of time trying to figure out where the pieces all went, and they had one in the bag. So I don't think that's why Sarah lost. I mean, yes, that is part of it, but I think what happened was really the opposite of what happened on the yellow tribe. The green tribe, Uwa or whatever, they're like, hey, we need to keep the tribe strong. Let's vote out one of the weaker, younger girls. Obviously, was it Jeannie, the older woman, Asian, right? She is she's big. I mean, she's strong. She's gonna help hold their own in the challenges. and so they had the girls for the smarts, and the younger ones weren't as strong. They're probably smart, but when you took up the challenge and you're the smart person, well, you're not really bringing much else other than that. And if you don't do that, now you really don't have a benefit. But if it was, if they were like the other tribe and the women were like, hey, a girl's not going home today, so figure it out, they could have done that. But I think it was Shan, right? And then Jeannie didn't, they were like, they didn't stick together with Sarah. And Brad and Ricard and JD stuck together. It was the three guys against the three girls in essence, and the girls caved. And it was kind of a game of chicken. The girls were like, all right, fine, who do you want? And I personally think they should have got rid of JD because he was lying to them. They knew he was lying. He was fine the challenge on that, but it's hard to trust somebody when you don't really know what the plan is. I mean, they're kind of saying, I'm gonna, he didn't come out like he was very much like, and they all kind of told the same story regardless of whether they kept their vote or not. That was only variance really, and that's the only thing you really need to, if you're gonna lie, it's the only thing you really need to lie about. Danny did a good job because he didn't lie at all. But like, he told the story, and he's very young. He's very excited to play the game. He's a super fan, and that gets, you can get into the weeds a little bit with that stuff, with knowing too much about the game and being too excited. People don't want to hear you talking about, on season 23 they had this color buffs, and this person was the third person voted out, and then they're actually now doing this. It's like, okay, nobody cares. Like, it's boring as hell, and they want to relax their mind. They don't want to be thinking like that. You're right. So I think he definitely has been over the top a little bit, but I think the guys in this case were smarter than the girls, and the girls in the yellow tribe were smarter than the guys. And it's just like, hey, if you put your foot down, they're not going to want to go to Rock's freaking first vote, and they're not going to risk going out first because, I really think whichever, if the three people, they put their foot in the ground and say, hey, this is what's happening, get on board or don't, they're just going to get on board because they're not going to, A, they don't know the person that well to put the risk of their game, and B, they're not going to go out first. So if you say, hey, we're not budging, figure it out, you may annoy some people, but the bottom line is they're going to join you because they don't want to go against you. And I think that's what happened. I think that's what they should have done. But again, the girls were, kind of wishy-washy on the green tribe, and the guys were kind of wishy-washy on the yellow tribe, and that's why a guy went out on the yellow tribe and a girl went on the green tribe. And I think that's kind of what Sarah's issue was. I mean, she should have just said, hey, look, and she was paranoid. She was worried, which she had the right to be paranoid because she got voted out. But instead of being worried about it, say, hey, look, I'm with you. Let's make this plan. Who do we want? And it seemed like it was kind of like, hey, we're going to either go this girl or this girl. And, sometimes, and if that's the case, then get somebody else on your side and be like, hey, we got to put our foot in the ground and sell that. Hey, if I go, you're next. And put that fear in them. So that way, at least, you can have that shot in the dark. And again, she probably should have played her quote unquote shot in the dark, whatever you want to call it, to see if she can save herself. But at the end of the day, I think really her mistake, I think, was leaving her fate into somebody else's hands and say, they're like, hey, who do I get rid of? I get rid of this one, this one. You should say, no, we're not doing that. We're doing this, and get on board or don't. And that's what the girls on the yellow tribe did, and I think that's why they got their way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Cool. So let's go ahead then and talk about the top three and bottom three. Start with the bottom three. The three players who had the worst week. Obviously, aside from the ones who got voted out. Who had the worst week on the... who was number three who was one of the three people who had the worst week this week?
Number 3 is Brad.
And again, there's no necessarily particular order, but Brad. What did Brad do wrong this week?
He said right to Shan and Sarah's face, well, it's either you or you that's probably getting eliminated tonight, so you never do that to their face.
No, not at all. I said, you gotta lie. And maybe he doesn't know the game. They said he's playing like it's season 2 or season 1, like it's 20 years ago. And, the fact is, you gotta have some tact, right? I get it. He wants to be honest. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe they'll be endearing. Maybe they'll like him. Maybe they'll know, being a straight shooter sometimes can be good. But I think he hasn't shown that he can lie, right? So if you can't lie at all, you're not gonna do well in this game. If you have no ability to manipulate it, you're not going to do well in the game. But it can ultimately, I mean, sometimes, what's retro, with old, ends up being new again type of thing, right? And I know like Adam Klein was famous for this in his season. People said, "Who's getting money?" He goes, "I don't know, probably that person." Like didn't care. Was very straightforward, very honest, very blunt. And people were like, they didn't know if they didn't think he was lying because he wasn't lying because he just told them how it is. And people respected that, and they kept him around because they well, he's not lying. He's if he says he's with me, he's with me, and that's kind of where it went. So it could be a good thing for Brad, but I'm worried that he's not a good liar, or not going to have the ability to lie, or not going to be willing to lie. And in Survivor season 41, you can't play a Survivor 1. I know Jeff said it's kind of like we're starting over. And it's the second, or over the hill now at 41 Survivor, but I still, there's so much going on. There's so much, the immunity idol. You tell somebody, hey, I think you're going home. Cool, they play their immunity idol, right? You have to have some sort of tact. I think.
Right. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, for sure.
For sure. Who's next? Who else didn't have a great week?
Nasir.
Yeah, Nazir. So I thought he was doing really well. He's one who is from the Middle East, I think Sri Lanka. Same hometown as Natalie and Nadia Anderson, the Anderson twins, the winner of Survivor 29, and the first boot of Survivor 29 at that. But again, I think he learned English watching Survivor, and he caught Danny and Deshawn going through, looking for idols when they were supposed to be doing the water challenge. And they still finished it. They still got it done. They still, did what they needed to do. But he called them out. He says, hey, we're not going to strategize until you guys get back. And then he started strategizing because he saw that they were out looking for idols instead of looking for, getting in the water. And maybe they were, it was kind of hard to tell what they were really doing. I think they're looking for idols. It looked pretty obvious that they're looking for idols. But the problem is when you say we're not going to strategize, and then you're the one who goes and strategizes, and you haven't built that rapport yet, it's hard.
Yeah.
So he got himself thrown directly on the bottom. Plus, not for nothing, but he speaks English fine, but it's broken English, and sometimes people have to repeat themselves, and it's not great. So it's harder for him to communicate what he actually saw and what's going on, and to be manipulative. Having a language barrier is hard enough, let alone trying to play a social and strategic game with that language barrier. So I think that put him directly on the bottom of his tribe. I think if the tribe had lost, I would have been surprised if anybody else other than him went out. Plus he's a little bit older. He's not like he's in good shape, but he's not a young guy. And they had two tanks on that. They had Deshawn and Danny are both monsters. Danny's a former NFL player. I mean they're beasts, and Nazir's not. So I don't know. We'll see. I like him. I would love to see him do well, but you gotta know when you gotta have the social graces to be able to pull off something like that, especially if you're gonna say one thing and then do something else. If you don't have the social graces to be able to do that, you're gonna just look sketchy. For sure.
Yeah.
Anything else to add?
No, I mean I agree with everything you're just saying about him, and just the distrust that he made just by saying that the guys were looking for idols and stuff. That also, I guess, on the flip side, put some pressure on him with his tribe. So
yeah, I mean, I think if they would have not finished the challenge, he would have had a lot more clout.
Yeah,
Said,
but they still finished the challenge and they came back with nothing. So
right,
yeah,
for sure. Cool. And who's number 3 in the bottom 3? JD. Why JD?
Because even though he was telling the truth with what happened on the island when he went for that special excursion, if you will, he was very sketchy with how he delivered it and was over the top about it when he could have just been super straightforward and said the truth without saying the whole truth, and they still would have believed him. But he embellished so much and made it such a performance that people didn't believe what he said. Right,
for sure. And I think we kind of somewhat touched on that a little bit, but he's very excited to be there. He's very, and he's very young. He's I think 20 years old. Mm-hmm. So or maybe around there. I think he's 20.
20.
Yeah. So there's there's people in their 50s, 60s, and he's 20. It's kind of hard to relate. And he's using terms that maybe they don't normally use. I don't know, but the bottom line is,
bro. bro.
Yeah,
Kidding.
no, but like,
Sup, bro.
but like I said, he's a younger guy, and he really didn't know. I feel like he really didn't know what to say or do, and he was just, instead of saying, "Hey guys, here's what happened," and just being very straight up with it, he was being very over the top,
He's acting very sus, as the kids say these days.
Right, exactly.
Very sus.
Exactly, and I just think that's kind of, I think he would have been smarter to just be like, "Hey, here's what happened, blah blah," blah, and being very direct about it. For sure. And I said, and he's very excited, right? He was very excited that he had to go do this, and and do this unique thing in Survivor, and he's a big fan, so he wanted to like kind of share every thought he was having out there. He wanted to share with somebody, because he probably does that when he watches with his friends. He probably talks to them all about it and whatever, but you can't do that out there. You have to rein that in a little bit. He's reminding me a lot of Jacob Derwin, if you remember him from Ghost Island.
Oh yes, I remember Jacob.
Yeah.
Quite well.
Yeah. So I think he's kind of reminding me a little bit of that. Like, there's just like, dude, take 20 steps back. He reminds me a lot of he's reminding me a little bit of oh my gosh, the professor on oh my gosh, I can't think of his name. Max, not Max. What the hell's his name? Oh my gosh, I can't think of his damn name on season 30. Yeah, Max. Yeah. On season 30, the professor, right? He was very, they were talking about, oh, it wasn't him and Shireen were just geeking out over being on the show. And how about, oh yeah, in season 20, in season 21, this person, their zodiac sign was this. It's like, why do you know that? You psycho. It's just like it's too much.
Otherwise known as superfan.
But even superfans are like, that's just like obsessed. That's I don't know anybody's zodiac sign. I don't care. Like that's just too much. And like I think you gotta rein that in a little bit. And I think if he doesn't do that, he could be in trouble. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
For sure. Anything else you want to talk about? Who did well this week? Top 3.
Top 3. Number 3 is, drumroll, Danny.
Danny, yeah. So that's Danny McCray, the former NFL player. Tell me about Danny. What did he do?
He did the water challenge, so he helped get the flint and everything for his tribe. He saved his vote when he was faced with the prisoner's dilemma. He did well, I guess, in the challenges and everything else as well, and he was able to save face with his tribe when Nasir was trying to say that they were off looking for idols and not doing what they were supposed to be, so he kind of protected his image, I guess, with the tribe and, put a little bit of questioning out there for Nasir, for everybody too.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what you said. The only thing I would add is, like I said, when he did come back after that thing, he was very honest, and everybody was, I think he did the opposite of what JD did, right? Okay. He was just saying, hey, here's what's going on. He
was completely straightforward about
it. He didn't add all these extra details, but also didn't hide anything.
Right.
And told the complete truth. If you want to lie, that's fine, but you have to have some truth in there too.
Yep.
And so he did a really good job with that, and so I think that's why he did. I think that's why he's here. Also, I don't understand why they take their flint. Like if you lose the immunity challenge, they're taking your flint away. Like why?
It doesn't add anything.
It adds nothing.
None of this is adding
it's
anything.
Quote unquote making it harder. But if you already have fire, you don't need the flint. And if you don't have fire, you're not gonna probably if you had the flint and hadn't made fire with it yet. Anyways, what's the difference?
I don't know. It makes harder. There's no food for them to eat either, so
right.
They don't need fire. To keep warm, yes, but what do they need the fire for?
Right.
Not much right now.
Right. It's stay warm at night, but that's it. And it's boil water. You need, I guess, to boil the water, but it's just silly. It really doesn't add anything.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
So, what is? I hope they drop that like after week 1.
Yeah.
Who is number 2 player of the week?
Xander,
yeah. So he's the young guy. He's the app developer. And he reminds me a little bit of Fabio. He said he wanted to play like Fabio, which is like, ugh, you're gonna play as the worst winner. But he definitely has that naivete about him. But also, I think, and he's young too. But also, I think he's pulling it off because he's very direct, very like, hey guys, here's what I'm all about. And he came back, and he told the truth, and they all ate it up too. Because he's got that personality. He's got the cross on his on his necklace, everything else. So I think he feels like he comes across as trustworthy. And maybe he's too naive to know otherwise. Maybe it's like, I think the reason Fabio won is because he was very trustworthy and dweeby, and not dweeby. I don't want to say dweeby. He was very like I don't know what's the word, dorky maybe. He was just unintentionally goofy. Like he would like a crab would walk on me, he'd freak out, right? It's just like he was very like I don't know, dumb, I guess you can say, but it was like he was non-threatening because he was just dumb. He was just going through the world, right? And I think that's kind of I definitely see that from Xander a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. He's very the first X name to ever play the game, right? But I think he's very like, hey guys, here's what's going on, and I think they trust him because he may not even know he's supposed to lie. And I kind of get that vibe from him. So I feel good about that. He's definitely young. He's 20. So that's definitely, not a good thing, not the life experience. But again, it's almost working for him. And I don't know if it's going to continue or whatever, if he's even trying to do that. But his being naive is working to his advantage in this case. I don't know if it's going to stay that way, but so far, so good.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I agree.
Anything else to add?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. And then one more thing to say at the end, and then we'll give our winner picks as well. But who's number one? Who's the player of the week this week?
Shan,
yeah, Chantel. So she was the pastor from Canada now, living in DC. Tell me about her. What did she do well?
I mean, she just got along with everybody. She didn't try and stab anybody in the back. She was, like you would always say, going to agree with everybody. You just be agreeable. Be like, okay, yeah, that sounds good. Okay, yeah. Not challenging anybody. So I think just blending in with everyone, even though doing the puzzle didn't go well, I guess I don't think she kept putting it on herself that she's the reason they lost or whatnot, and just kept bringing that to attention. She just got along with everybody and, went with the flow of what people were deciding until tribal council, that is. But
and tribal council did seem a little live. I don't really think it was, honestly, but the way I'm looking at it, right, I feel like with Sarah and Chantel, right, I feel like they both very similar. They both were similar in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were aligned together. They were working together, and I think Chantel. The reason they picked Sarah over Chantel is because Shan had way better social game. She was getting along with everybody. She was kind of talking about the music she plays in her head when she's lying, whatever, which is weird, but it's funny, I guess. Yeah. And she was going through and kind of playing the game and playing people but she also had the social game. She had those social bonds. And I think they had decided we have to decide between Sarah and Shan. We like Shan better, so we're gonna keep her because we like her better. And then she could have put her, like I said, the idea she could have put her foot in the ground and said, no, I'm not voting out Sarah. Pick somebody else. Mm-hmm. But she didn't. She knew that they didn't have the votes to do that. She knew they had. It was just her and Sarah, and that was it. And they weren't gonna. It was going to be Sarah no matter what. So instead of putting her foot in the ground, she actually just went with it, and it didn't make anybody mad. She went with it. The votes were going that way, and I don't think anybody really knew she was aligned with Sarah anyways. So I think she got away with it. I think she may have lost somebody who she could have worked with in the future, but I think she was going to lose somebody who she could have worked with in the future really regardless. And she has no blood on her hands. Nobody's mad at her, and she has a good social game. She's working with everybody, and I think everybody likes her. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a huge thing for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For
sure. Other than that, the other thing I'll say is the whole woke stuff. Like it's enough. We don't need it. They asked if they should change. Say, come on in, guys. As like generic guys. And Evie said no, it's okay. And then Ricard came in and said, yeah, we should get rid of it. And so Jeff said, okay, I want to get rid of it anyway, so let's get rid of it. And so I'm just gonna say, come on in. It's like I don't know. I think it's stupid. I think you should. It's something that's it's like. We have traditions for a reason. Let's just keep the traditions, some of them alive. Even if it's, we don't have to go into all of it. I have another show that talks about that a lot more, but I just think it's silly. I think, why, let's get rid of Tribe of Spoken to. Let's get rid of everything and just start over. Let's burn down history and start over.
Yeah, I guess my view on it, though, is if he wanted to change it anyways, then he should have just changed it and didn't need to make it into a huge thing about it to have them decide for him if he wanted to do it anyways. I'm open to everything with people. Like, I don't have any, qualms against anything, but I just didn't think it had to be that much of a production about changing it when he said he wanted to change it anyways.
No, for sure. I completely agree. And I think the only thing is, I don't think, anybody really cared. I think they're like, hey, whatever. But I really think Jeff wants to fit in with his elite buddies at their parties, his his he's friends with Jimmy Fallon and Tyler Perry. He wants them to think he's cool, so he's gonna virtue signal that he's cool, and I just think it's silly. I mean, I think like it's it's an iconic line. Come on in, guys. Come on in. Like, okay, drop the guys. Just come on in, whatever. But why do you have to go there? Like Big Brother, people are getting Big Brother's ratings are on the toilet because they're doing even worse because they're on 2 times a week and they're just shoveling woke stuff in people's throats, and like people watch TV to get away from that stuff. If they want to seek out woke stuff, they'll seek it out. You don't have to have it on their TV show. I watched the show since I was 12 years old. I watched the show for 20 years, and I'm on the brink of walking away. And if we do walk away, then the show is over too. Obviously, this podcast. But I'm we don't have like it's silly that you have to put your own spin, your own view on things. Just let it happen. I'm still not over the fact that they pulled Dan from the game 2 seasons ago because they shouldn't have. If he was doing something egregious, vote him out. That's there's consequences in the game. You vote somebody out. If it's not that bad, unless he literally, I mean, we don't know what he did, but he was at watch parties with people from his season, young women from his season doing watch parties, and they invited him, so they didn't have to. So I mean, I don't know. I think they're trying to be like, hey, we're cool, we're like everybody else. Don't hate us. And I don't think anybody would have cared. I think the 3 people on Twitter who were mad that they used the word guys would have got over it, or it's not watching, or they don't watch anyways. Meanwhile, you're alienating the middle of America, which is your base of the show. So that's all I want to say. I'll leave it at that. I do want to get to our winner picks. I think we decided we're gonna each pick 1 man and 1 woman, and go from there. So, Jess, do you want to give yours first, or do you want me to give mine first?
It doesn't matter. I can give mine first.
Go ahead, Jessica. Who do you think? Who is your winner pick this season? We can pick one guy, one girl. We talked about it, so we don't have the same pick, so that's fine. What do you got?
So my girl is Shan.
I agree. I think she's gonna be great.
And the guy is, I don't remember his name now.
Deshaun.
Deshaun. Yeah, Deshaun. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Deshaun. He didn't get a ton of airtime, but I mean, he didn't do anything that was, Danny got a lot more of the airtime, and I think they're a pair. I think they work together. Mm-hmm. But then Danny got a lot more of the airtime. So, but they always give the athletes a lot of airtime early on, for sure. So I think Deshaun can kind of hide behind Danny a little bit. So I think those are both really good picks. I like Shan a lot. I like Deshaun. We haven't seen much from him, but Shan was out front a lot, and I think she could. I think if one person makes it out of the Green Tribe, I think it's gonna be her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think so.
For sure.
She's got a good chance.
Awesome. My winner pick, I wanted to go with Xander. I don't know. He's too young, I think, to win, but he did a really good job. He seems very likable, and I just want to root for somebody I think is gonna be likable and is fun. And I never thought I'd root for somebody who said they wanted to be like Fabio, but because Fabio was such a terrible winner. But just being that low key, fun, and kind of goofy, naive person could be a good thing. And I'm excited to see what he can do. And then I was really on the fence between Liana and Sarah. I'm sorry, Liana, not Sarah. Liana and Sydney. And so I really couldn't decide which way to go. I really liked Shan as well. Those were my 3, the top 3 women I wanted for my female winner pick. And obviously you took Shan, so I'm not going to take Shan. Liana, I could go either way on her as well. But I think I'll ultimately just go with Sydney. So my winner picks will be Sydney and Xander.
Cool.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Cool. So you got yours, I got mine. Yours are Deshaun and Chantel. Mm-hmm. Mine is Xander and Sydney.
Yep.
Cool. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Cool. So we said we get our winner pick out. So we did that. We talked about the episode. Next episode, we'll see what happens. I'm excited for it. It should be an interesting season. I don't know. I'm not there's not anybody who's really oh my God, I'm really pumped for them or whatever. It's kind of too early for that. So we'll see if anybody really becomes a super awesome fan favorite. But we'll see what happens. I know they're saying the first season 41 and 42 are both going to be new player seasons. So we'll get to meet a good 30-some people between this season and next season. So we'll see what happens. So far, so good. Looking forward to it. And thank you for being on the show, Jessica. She may not be on every show, but at least, came out here for the premiere, and I appreciate that. Be sure to subscribe if you want to say anything. You can like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Pavement Road Productions, facebook.com/ Pavement Road Productions. You can like our YouTube channel, subscribe right there on the YouTube page. And you also can email the show directly, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing and being a part of this. And I think that's it, right? I got nothing else for you because the tribe has spoken.